I'm in this space where I'm just so grateful for life. And I know people are like, oh, I'm grateful for life. I've never meant it as much as I've meant it now.
When was the moment, like when did you know that something's off?
I woke up feeling like I had been run over by a truck in my sleep, and then the truck reversed on me, and then I was thrown off a cliff.
Yeah.
When I read back what I was reading, things like, I really hope I don't die today. I'm like, that's such a strong statement. I don't feel that way now, but I was writing stuff like that down. Like, is this the day that I die? Like, because if I sleep, will I wake up?
Was it primarily medication? Was it rest? Was it a mixture of both? Like, what did it take to reach survival?
Recovering, my main goal was I just want to go outside, take a deep breath of fresh air. You're not alone, and you know, other people have really come through this, because in the news they talk about, you know, the death rate, but those are the cases that they've measured. My case and all of my friends' cases have not been recorded.
Hi guys, welcome to Mochunkstv and welcome to another installment of Chit Chat with Mo. So today we're doing something a bit different. Of course, we're in lockdown, but I thought it would be a nice chance to have a chat with people just amidst the coronavirus pandemic, not sharing gloomy stories, but, you know, stories of hope. And Tobi is someone who you're going to meet in a second that actually survived coronavirus. She shared this on her podcast, shared it on Twitter. I was really taken aback by it and very happy that of course she survived. And I was like, okay, right. When I wanted to start reaching out to people about, okay, who can I interview to give us an insight into how this actually happens and in terms of survival. And I thought no one other than Tobi to come on the show. So Tobi, welcome to the show. And just a little bit more about her. She is a presenter, she's a host, a podcaster as well. You look up podcasts, you should definitely check it out. So hi Tobi, how are you?
Hi, thank you. And I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. So I really wanted to just have a general conversation, a general chat, and I guess catch up with you. First of all, beyond everything that's happened, how are you?
Right now, I'm good. Yeah, I'm in this space where I'm just so grateful for life. And I know people are like, oh, I'm grateful for life. I've never meant it as much as I've meant it now.
So beyond everything that's happened, obviously it was a very tough time. I just wanted to find out how you are generally, how are you adjusting back to normal life, if I can call it that, because we're still on lockdown. Yeah, how are you?
It's so weird adjusting back to normal life, as you say, because I started showing symptoms before the lockdown. So for me, it was early on, before any cases were really in the news or anything. So I'm just self-isolating and quarantining while the world is going about its business. Yeah. And then now I'm better. We're in lockdown. And I was just the first time I went outside, I had to go outside to the pharmacy to pick up a few things. And I just felt so weird. I felt like I woke up in a new world. There's signs everywhere. The station was closed. I didn't see any buses on the road. Everyone was wearing face masks, lining up to get into the 3 shops open on my high street. And that was bizarre to me. Since then, I haven't been back to the high street. I just walk around my residential area. So adjusting back to normal life is weird because it's not normal. Yeah. But I'm still you know what? I'm actually alive and I get it. There's a lockdown and I appreciate the lockdown more than most people because I know that it's stopping the spread, because I got it when London was wide open. There was tourists in London. The last day I was in central London, there was so many tourists outside my workplace. So it's just I keep thinking of that. I was exposed to so many people and so many people exposed to me. That's what blows my mind.
Yeah, and I know that I think someone who's been through the whole, who's actually had the virus understands why it's so important to stay isolated. I think even last night there was a video of people on Westminster Bridge and they were clapping for the NHS, which is amazing, but social distancing, you guys forgotten
it's
about
so
the whole...
mad. Mate, it shows me how performative this country can be. We're just doing performance after performance, these sentimental gestures that sometimes are empty. And I get it. Like, I have key workers in my family, 2 people who work in NHS, and they are working hard and they're on the front line. So I get how important it is to, you know, show appreciation for them. I just think they need prize at the end of this. That would be great appreciation for them. But it was mad that Westminster Bridge thing, because it was like police officers not even exercising social distancing. But they're out here arresting people for not, you know.
I think there's something about the British culture that's very lax, isn't there? Like I said it on I don't know what episode I said it on, but we're very like, let's pop the kettle on, you know, it will be okay, like solidarity, like we're all right, you know. We enforce the law sometimes, and sometimes we over enforce the laws in things that may be seemingly not as important, but when things are going in disarray and people are losing their lives, when we actually need to enforce the law, it seems like they're taking more of a lax position, which baffles me. Now I want to kind of ask about, because I think I did see in your tweets as well, or just on your socials, you were saying how once you have the virus, you become immune to it. Is that something that's been confirmed by doctors or?
No, that's nothing that's been confirmed. So when I go out, I'm still going out with face masks and stuff, because it's nothing that's confirmed. I've had a friend who's had a doctor tell them, because he had an antibody test because he got sick after having the virus. So he ended up getting an antibody test, and they were like, it was a test that could prove that he had it. But not that he was immune. Sorry, so not antibody, my bad. But the doctors told him, oh, you're immune. But he spoke to someone else who was like, no. And then I've read cases where people have had it twice. So I think we're in a season, or we're in a bit of history where there's the unknown. Like, this thing is so new that they don't even have a vaccine or a cure, let alone facts on whether you're immune. So I don't really want to act immune and just go out there, and I'm still I'm taking this lockdown as seriously as someone who's never had the virus before, because it wasn't a joke, and recovery took so long. Like, the virus left me in maybe 14 days, but recovery took so much longer. So I literally don't have that time to waste. I've got goals and dreams and things that I want to achieve. 100%. I can't be sick again.
When was the moment, like, when did you know that something's off? Because I think we go through life, and sometimes even as women especially, we try to just press on. Like, I know for me, like, if something's going on, I'm ill, I will still try and edit videos, I will still try and create content. When did you know that something was off and you had to stop?
So it's so weird, because in hindsight, like, so when I talk about my symptoms, I count day 1, 2, 3, 4. But when day 1 to 4 was going on, I didn't really realize what was going on. I noticed weird things, but I'm a busy person. Like, I work in the media, so I was so busy. And then, like, I was adjusting to working from home, because my workplace started working from home earlier than other people. And I still had to go out, and I had to, like, record my podcasts. And so I was so busy that I was just like, oh, like, I feel a bit warm. I've got a bit of a cough. Like, it was really slow. So for me, day 4 was when everything felt unbearable, and I was like, this is so weird, I'm gonna go to bed. And then I woke up feeling like, and I said this on my podcast, I woke up feeling like I had been run over by a truck in my sleep, and then the truck reversed on me, and then I was thrown off a cliff. That's when I woke up. I was like, what on earth happened to me last night? My head was, everything hurt. And that's when I started to realize. And that same day, I got a news alert, and I saw my colleague on the news, like, you know, so-and-so, this person has got coronavirus, it has got pneumonia, like, he was rushed to hospital, stopped breathing. And I was like, I was legit with this guy. And that's when the penny started dropping for me. Like, I think I have this thing called NHS 111. They were like, you need to self-isolate, quarantine immediately, you know, call us if things get worse. Things did get worse. I kept calling them. So they treated me like a COVID patient without testing me. Because they wouldn't test me.
Wow. That must have been so hard, because me, I know when I'm ill, I'm in denial.
Same. Like, I'm that person. So for me to be like, I'm ill is a really, really big deal, because I would just carry on with life. I would literally, that's just me. I'm like, oh, flu, okay, I can carry on. Especially as women, like you said, like, we go through like mad periods, we still have to go about our lives. Do you know what I mean? So
they vomit, temperature, and they still carry on.
Listen, honestly, but what I had was not something that allowed me to carry on, and that's what made me to stop. Like, I couldn't walk properly. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make it, like, for me to get out of my bed to go to the bathroom was a huge mission. Like, I felt like I was gonna pass out from doing that because obviously the virus attacks your lungs. So like I felt like I was breathing at a capped capacity. Like I was only breathing like I can only get air from like here in my lungs,
Yes.
opposed to the bottom of my lungs, and I could legitimately feel. I've never felt my lungs before, but I could feel every movement in my lungs. They felt heavy. I was like, my lungs felt too big for my body. Like it was just expanding. It was just weird. So yeah, something like that is a really serious illness, and you stop. Like you can't move, and my body kept shutting down to sleep, so which was scary in the early days, very scary in the early days. Yeah,
I actually read something about that in a sense of not just with corona, but especially with corona, one symptom is like sleepiness, because that's like your body trying to essentially stop you from killing yourself, and like your immune system needs everything to kind of shut down so it can do its thing. So do you feel
yeah.
like it was your recovery, was it primarily medication, was it rest, was it a mixture of both? Like what did it take to reach survival? Because obviously we've heard about death tolls of like high numbers. I think we're the third highest if we include so like aged people in like care homes. So we've had a high like death toll so far. They're saying that we're at peak now, and hopefully we'll begin to decline. But what do you think your recovery kind of required? Was it a holistic kind of recovery?
So there was moments where I struggled with breathing so much I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to take the next breath. So I was just like, I didn't know what I could do. So I called NHS 111 and they told me paracetamol and rest and water. That's all that I took. Paracetamol, rest and water. At one point I discovered like kind of like hot water therapy thing where you inhale steam, and that just, it doesn't cure anything, it just made me feel better. So my body had to fight it on its own because there's no medication. So for me at one point I strongly felt that I needed oxygen help and a ventilator, but I kept like NHS was so strained at the time. I think they're doing much better now because they've opened up hospitals and stuff. But remember, I was in the early days. So I kept like asking, can I at least get an ambulance or something? And at that point, there was none of that. So my body literally recovered on its own. And obviously I have praying parents, I have a church family. But when it comes to like the medicine side, no, paracetamol was used to ease the pain, which didn't work for about 2-3 days. And they said like to break the fever because the fever was immense in the early days. And I don't know if the paracetamol broke the fever or the fever broke itself, you know.
When did that, what day did that kind of ease up? Do you know?
I wrote it down. I think it was about day 7, I think, that I no longer felt a fever. And I'm so glad I wrote everything down as it was happening. I think that's the journalist in me, because those days, like, those days, I don't remember much. So I'm so happy I wrote things down because it's a blur. When I talk to other people that have had the virus, one thing that we talk about is that we just can't remember much. And because it's like pneumonia. So a lot of the symptoms are like pneumonia. And one of the symptoms of pneumonia is confusion and like memory loss. So it's just like, I don't remember what I was watching. Well, to be honest, I didn't watch much. I just don't remember. Everyone's like, what did you do during your day? I really don't remember.
Do you feel like that's like a trauma response? Yeah, like
It
people
could
that are
be.
going through things in their past life, like when they were children,
Yeah.
they sometimes don't remember until a therapy session that this happened. And it's like, they say that your body does that, your memories do that, so you don't have to face the pain. So I wonder if that's kind of the same with this, although it's more of a
100%.
physical illness.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, I never thought of it that way. And you're right, because I wrote things down and I wrote how I felt.
Yeah.
When I read back what I was reading, things like, I really hope I don't die today. I'm like, that's such a strong statement. I don't feel that way now, but I was writing stuff like that down. Like, is this the day that I die? Like, because if I sleep, will I wake up? That's how difficult it was to breathe. It's so difficult to explain. And at first I thought, me explaining it to people, would people believe me? But when I spoke to when I did put it out there, then other people were like, what you've described is exactly what I feel, word for word. I knew that I wasn't mad, that a lot of people are going through this silently. Like some people in the timeline that we know went through it as well. And they messaged me like, I'm going through this right now. Thank you for sharing your story, because I thought this is absurd and this is mad. And how come I'm not getting medical assistance? And it's just the way NHS is set up at the moment. Like, because I was told by NHS 111, and I thought this is the maddest thing. And with all due respect to NHS, because I know they're strained and stuff, and I know that the people I spoke to on the phone were volunteers with no medical training. I was told by someone who picked up, call back if you stop breathing. Whoa. I was like, what? How am I, first of all, God forbid. Second of all, how am I supposed to call back if I've stopped breathing, especially when I'm alone in my room and my family can't come anywhere near me? I didn't see my family. I was staying with my family. Didn't see them for 14 days. I heard them. They put food outside of my room, put tissue outside of my room. They stood outside the room to, see how I'm doing. My mum would FaceTime me from downstairs, but they couldn't see me. And they were like, oh, if you go blue in the face, call back, but I'm black. So it's like, even then, like, medicine is very racialized in the sense that you can't ask me to measure things by saying if you go blue in the face. Like, how am I supposed to know if I'm blue in the face? Like, I wish that someone could come and see me. A friend of mine said that it took 10 hours for the ambulance to get to him. And he was high risk, with like a leaky valve in his heart, something that he had as a child. And even then, so that was in the early days, and I'm hearing that things are better now. But if anyone's going through it now, I would want them to know that you're not alone, and other people have really come through this, because in the news they talk about the death rate, but those are the cases that they've measured. My case and all of my friends' cases have not been recorded.
Not touched the news, yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the statistics at all.
Wow.
Because when I've called NHS 111 before for various health issues. I had an infection once, and like, I'll call 999. So I've called NHS 111 before, and one time I did call them. They took my name, age, address. When I got to NE, they knew exactly who I was and what my case was. So I know how NHS 111 works. In this case, I can't remember how many times I called them, almost every day, with different, like, basically begging. I was begging. And they never once took my name, never once took my age. No, I'm not on the records, and I wasn't tested. So there are so many people who are at home and recovering alone. So I think that, like, people have to remember that when looking at the statistics, the fatalities that are being recorded are very, very severe cases. They called my case mild, so yeah.
This actually reminds me of Dr. Kanayo. We might know her on social media, but she had SAS, and literally, like, her skin was like deteriorating, like there was like holes in her skin. And they kept describing or using, of course, like, white people as a yardstick for the things that she was going through. And it was like, on a black person's skin, this isn't quite the same. For a long time she was misdiagnosed as to what was going on until she passed out. And I think, does that scare you a tiny bit? Because of course we thank God that you survived, but how many more black persons might have symptoms of coronavirus, but because, I guess, even with, like, when we think of childbirth and black women, they're more likely to die, especially in areas like America, where there's a perceived notion of strength with black people, and that, until we literally exaggerate our symptoms, that alarm bell will not go off. Does that scare you a tiny bit, that there might be more people, or persons of color, black people especially, that might literally just be ignored until, like you said, the lady said, until you stop breathing?
Yeah, it does worry me. Like, so I knew what you just said, like, about like, when it comes to mothers, women who are giving birth, and just like the fatality rate is higher, especially in America, and I think it's the same in the UK as well. And it does, because it's bizarre to me how even medicine is racialized. It's very, very bizarre to me, especially sometimes it's deliberate and some other times it's just because of, you know, the yardstick that they're measuring symptoms with could be different. If you're using skin color, like that's not going to work on me. In my case, I can't say it was a racial thing because I'm like, how would they know who I was? Because they didn't see me. But I have had friends who went into the hospital and were like, oh, there's nothing we can do for you. We'll send you home. I have people who work in the front line who are telling me them having to make very difficult decisions based on what they call quality of life, deciding who gets a ventilator. And apparently this is something that's been done before the pandemic, but now they have to do a lot more. So looking at, you know, making the decision between an unhealthy 30-year-old and a healthy 40-year-old. The healthy 40-year-old will probably get it because they're measuring quality of life, like who is most likely to survive. So if you're allowed to make decisions like that, that baffles me. It is scary, and that's something apparently that's been happening in the medical world for years. It's nothing new. It's something that I'm learning about now. Like,
I can only imagine that that's really tough for the doctors as well, because obviously, to be in a medical profession, you will have a level of empathy and compassion for people. Like, no one wants to pull the plug on somebody's life. And I could, like, hopefully, like I was saying to you off camera, that I hopefully will get to speak to a doctor as well, just to see some of the emotions that they're going through as well, because this is such an emotional time for family members, for friends, but also those that are on the front line that don't necessarily want to see people go, but have to make that decision of, okay, this person's 70, they might have like 5 years or 20 years left, whereas this person is young and has so much to live for. That's really tough, and I can't imagine anybody making that kind of decision. But like,
exactly.
I think it's important to highlight that, okay, in your case, you don't necessarily think it was racial bias. We thank God for that. And I think there was another lady actually that passed away, and everybody on Twitter was kind of like, no, I'm scared that this is going to carry on happening. And for example, people like Boris Johnson being prioritized, a lot of people had an issue with that. What do you think about that? Just off topic slightly.
That was really difficult for me to digest. As I was getting sick, I'm hearing of celebrities being tested without symptoms, and I was just begging for a test, just give me a test. As I was speaking to like the workers online, they were like, yeah, you have textbook COVID symptoms and you're a suspected case, and that's all we can call you because we've not done a scientific test. But like, judging by like even how long it took me to recover, I definitely had COVID. It was exactly how long it took me, about 30 days to recover. So it wasn't a flu. Do you know what I mean? 30 days is too long for a flu. But for me, like, I was hearing stuff like, you know, Boris has got, while I was sick, you know, hearing that Boris is sick as well. And I'm like, well, like, man got to see a doctor. And he got to, it made me feel like I'm not as important.
Right. Yeah.
And then Prince Charles, and I know people will be like, yeah, but that's the Prime Minister and that's the heir of the throne. I get it. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know that they're important people, but it's hard to digest because if you're saying they're important, are you saying that my life is not important? That's what it comes down to. You know, like, people around Boris got tested just because they were around him. And I get it. They're working in the industry, blah, blah, blah. For me, like, most people know that I work around politicians. You know, I'm not going to say too much about that, but I work around politicians. So it's just like, just being so close to them and so close in that environment, and then having it and then just being ignored was very hard to digest.
Kind of like The Help, you know, it reminds me of those, dare I say it, slavery movies where, you know, horrible things would happen and, you know, they wouldn't care at that point. But when you were their entertainment, it wasn't necessarily that they cared about you, but so long as you were doing your job, they loved having you around. But the minute maybe they got ill, they were just kind of thrown out to die almost, which is, and I think that's not just a black thing. I think that's generally the population versus the royal family, or people
Yes,
that are more
it's a class thing as
important. Yeah, the
well.
class, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
like social
yeah,
status. And
yeah,
yeah, because like I heard that, you know, testing costs like £200, something like that, which I know it's not that it's not that it's expensive. That's not thousands of pounds, but it's not
yeah,
disposable money that a lot of people have,
yeah,
especially
exactly.
now that we're in like lockdown, where people are scared for their jobs, their families. They don't know
Yeah,
like how secure some people are now. I think it's furlough they're calling it.
yeah,
And some people are still on their jobs, but like any minute, like something, the economy can literally shift like that.
mm-hmm.
Basically, no one is secure right now. So I can imagine that the fears of money, to be thinking about, oh, let me pay this to get tested. I think if the NHS can increase testing, I think that would be one step closer to fighting this thing, because
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of people that are asymptomatic, that are not showing symptoms,
yes,
and they look healthy, they feel healthy, but unfortunately they're passing it to everybody
yeah,
around them.
yeah.
Do you
Like if you,
feel like, yeah, go on, sorry, go
yeah,
on.
like for example, just like Idris Elba is a case where he was
Yeah.
around somebody in, I don't know if that's public news, but he was around someone who had the virus, and he was aware of it, got tested, was positive. Sabrina was positive, his wife, but they showed no severe symptoms. So it's like thank God they knew and they were able to self-isolate. But one, they were able to get tested because they're VIP, clearly, because it's like, how did you get a test then? Because they're not even testing people who are struggling to breathe at home. And then
Mm-hmm.
two, they're around so many people,
Mm-hmm.
so many people, and they would have unwillingly passed it on to people before they knew that they had the virus. They were good people and they self-isolated, but so many other people who have you won't even know. I think it was when like my migraine was going, my fever was gone, I had stopped coughing like a lot. Um and I just felt like, oh yeah, everything's good. And I started to feel like I can breathe better. Like breathing wasn't painful. I wasn't having a consistent pain in the chest. So I was like, yeah, like I'm pretty sure the virus is gone. I called 111. They were like, yeah, you can leave your quarantine. Just take care to recover. And I was like, okay. So I went down to my garden. It was like a magical moment for me, because while I was like recovering, my main goal was I just want to go outside, take a deep breath of fresh air, and just go, and I have like an apple tree in my garden, and two apple trees and a pear tree. And I was like, I'm just going to check on the apple tree. That was like the goal in mind from when I was first sick. Like, don't worry, you're going to make it, you're going to live, and you're going to be able to see the apple tree. Because I couldn't see it from my room. So like I did that, and I was like, thank God. Then
Oh,
days, as the
symbol. Wow.
days,
Sorry, I'm
yeah.
just taking that in, like the apple tree, but go on, yeah.
Yeah, no, like it was my simple goal, like just the apple tree. And still, I look at my apple tree. I saw it as like my promise, really. Like, people like look at a rainbow. Now, every time I look at the apple tree, and it's growing now more than it was when I first left. As I see the apples coming through a little bit, I'm like, yeah, like I'm growing, I'm recovering. So I think on that day, I was like, yeah, I'm better. The next day, I started to have trouble with breathing, but not like I did when I had the virus. When I had the virus, it was consistent. It was like, I am going to lose my life. This was like maybe for 30 minutes once a day. And then the next day, again, still issues with breathing. I thought I could join online workout things. I was like, yeah, I want my body snatched. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to work out. So I tried to join an online workout. I lasted about 2 minutes. I thought I was going to pass out.
Mm.
So I was like, wow, like recovery, like my lungs were injured and I need to take time for them to recover. My sense of smell and taste went again after the virus had gone. So I was still dealing with like random things. And I couldn't really walk far. Even to get downstairs to the apple tree was difficult. So I was like, I learned a big lesson on like recovery. Like, yes, I went through a storm, but I still have to like readjust and recover. So it was 30 days that I was like, okay, I'm going to take a walk outside. And I was tired when I took that walk outside, but I was able to do it. So I went outside, I went to the pharmacy, came back home, and I needed to take a massive nap. But now I'm sleeping better. Before I was sleeping like 3 times a day, even in recovery. And then I clocked the mental health aspect because I wasn't looking after my mental health. I was just focusing on my physical. And what I went through was a lot. Like, yes, I have faith and, you know, I'm praying and I've got people around me, but what I went through did take a toll on me, like, you know, mentally. So I was like, and I was lacking vitamin D. So I'm thinking about, okay, how am I going to readjust mentally as well? So like, if anyone's going through it, I would advise them to look up, like, think about their mental health as much as their physical as well, which was something I didn't think to do because there's so much is going on. Like, why would I think of that? But yeah, and I don't know anyone that's been through it to come and tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
But which is why I wanted to share, really, because it's like, yeah, it feels like a lonely road for a lot of people. Like, it felt very lonely for me because I felt like the only person in the world going through it, despite it being on the news every day, because I just couldn't see anyone else going through it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And stay at home, guys.
So glad. Yeah, please. I'm so glad you made it, Tobi. And
Thank
I
you.
think this is such an inspirational story, especially to those that might be going through it right now. Someone might be in their day 4, someone might be in their day 7, someone might be in their day 21, someone might literally be about to walk to their apple tree. And this is a massive testimony. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
And what do you look forward to? Just even in the lockdown, is there anything that you're working on, or what do you look forward to after lockdown? Is there any projects, seeing friends, family, like, just, you know, tell us what you're hoping for.
For me, because I went through so much, and I'm hearing people saying, oh, I'm writing a book, I'm doing this. I'm just happy to be alive, and I'm seeing this as my rest season, because for years, I've been such a busy person. People don't see me. Like, I'm always chasing a dream. I'm super busy. This has forced me to sit down. So I'm just relaxing, reading books, watching TV, and I've gone back to work, obviously working from home. So like, I'm not doing any big projects. I do have plans, like, to elevate my podcast, but that's like, I was always going to do that anyway, but now I have more time to do that, because I'm working less as well. Even though I'm back to work, I'm working less because there's less shifts. I'm a freelancer, so there's less work. So yeah, that's it for me. And so much TV that I want to watch. I know that doesn't sound very productive, but I haven't been watching TV as much.
You watch all the TV that you need to watch. Honestly, have you heard about Too Hot to Handle?
Pardon?
There's a show on Netflix. It's called Too Hot to Handle.
Oh yeah, I'm about to watch that one this evening.
Yeah, please go and enjoy yourself, baby girl. You've been through a lot. I feel like
that show. I feel like I can go on that show and win easy.
Apparently, it's
basically it's like Love Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the goal is that you're not allowed to kiss, make out, any physical activity. I'm like, okay, put me in the corner. I will sit in the corner praying. I will win.
Okay.
I'll win.
Me too. Yeah, they need that.
Easy.
Sometimes not everyday raunchiness.
What? How many weeks?
It's not everyday raunchiness. This is good TV.
It can't be that hard.
Thank God. I'm so happy.
But how are you though?
I'm good. And I think even listening to you as well, there was times when I thought I had it. Like, I think I'm going to make maybe like a separate video, because I know, like, they said that symptoms are very different. And at the beginning, before lockdown happened, like, I was even on a fast as well. So I thought it was my fast. It was a dry fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there was nothing like chest wise, but my sinuses were infected. So much so that I couldn't breathe very well. I had like migraines and I was shaking in the night. So apparently that's a fever. So I did, so I didn't. So I didn't. And again, you know that thing about stubbornness. When I say me and sickness will be fighting each other like this, like literally, maybe it was a very mild version of, you know, because that's what they said. A lot of people from December times may have had it and just not shown.
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
And it's stay home, save lives.
Yeah, just stay home. Yeah. I think sooner or later. Yeah, I think sooner or later we'll probably be able to, like, all get antibody tests to be able to look. That's the promise anyway. We'll see if they like go through the promise. So you can see if you've had it. You
know, China, they have like technology on the phone. So like, if someone gets infected and they went to like a store, they would like link everywhere they've been that day and tell everyone to self-isolate. I don't know if the UK can get that.
Crazy. So yes, the UK is going to have it. Google is working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're working on it so that you can, so you can mad surveillance, but it's like we're already being watched anyway, so it might as well watch us and save our lives while at it. So
Amen to that.
so
Thank
yeah,
you so much, Toby, for sharing this
yeah,
with me. Thank you. I know I've learned a lot, and I hope you guys
no
at home
worries.
have learned as well. Yeah. God bless you, man. And amen to your testimony. I pray that this
Thank
inspires
you.
everybody, and I hope that you're able to share this even beyond the podcast as well, even beyond this show, and just share it, to the whole entire world. So hopefully we hear more stories like this. And I know the recovery rate is starting to go up. So I'm really grateful to God for that. We're starting to see that turnaround that we've been praying for. Amen. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you
Thank
for having me,
you
man.
so much. And
Thank
thank you guys at home
you.
for
Thanks.
watching. Do make sure you like, so if you liked it, do share it with your friends. Do comment down below on the things that we spoke about. We hope it was educative and it sort of hopefully brought some hope to you as well, in case you might be going through something similar or you have family members that are going through something similar. There is, although we know there are death tolls, and rest in peace to everybody that's passed away, but we also want to celebrate the fact that there are some survivors like Tobi. So until next time, guys, peace and love. Peace and chunks.